All right, already getting a lot of emails and comments on my chat with Ron Kim, the New York State Democratic Assemblyman, who had some words with the governor of New York over this whole nursing home assisted living high death count. That the governor insists he had nothing to do with deflating or underreporting, that the deaths are the deaths. But of course, it did cause some nastiness, and these nasty phone calls are just the tipping of what some say could be a huge story that has launched investigations. The Justice Department, the FBI, all looking into this. The impact right now, especially ironically, when we're seeing improvement on the COVID front across the country, including in New York, where, by the way, they're allowing more indoor dining extensions, a 35% from 25%. Dan Geltner back with us, Rebecca Walser, Aaron Gibbs. Dan, this is maybe a crisis of the governor's making, or certainly by taking it as personally as he has. I get that on some level here, but it seems to be boomeranging within his own party. I'm wondering what your thoughts are and where this is going.
You know, I never really understood the logic of having people with COVID moving in or being treated in senior facilities. I don't know what was behind that. It didn't make sense. But in this particular case, which we see many times, it's actually not about the crime anymore. It's about the cover-up. So even if we say whether it was Governor Cuomo, and there's some other states who have that issue, in New Jersey as well, was it the right thing to do? Let's assume they thought it was. But in Cuomo's case, it comes down to the cover-up, and that's what this is all about.
You know, Rebecca, there are many, many times when the criticism of Donald Trump were getting in your face, or at least publicly, tweeting horrific things about those who dared challenge him. That gets a lot of media coverage, probably as it should. Not so much with what's going on in New York, although it's been getting more coverage of late with Governor Cuomo. What do you make of that?
It's disappointing. It just seemed to be this double standard of, let's hold all of one side of the aisle very accountable. And then the other side of the aisle, if somebody within your own party speaks up and says, hey, something didn't go right here, we're all accountable. Politicians are especially accountable to their elected representative, to their people they represent. So it's not good to see anybody questioning anybody who's questioning what happened during a pandemic that we need to get to the bottom of. So there has to be accountability on everybody's part, Neil.
Yeah, Aaron, the irony of all of this is things are improving on the COVID front, all these tragic deaths notwithstanding. The number of cases, the number of hospitalizations, even the news on the vaccine front, even though millions of doses were delayed because of the weather. New York as well had to suffer through that. But the fact of the matter is the trend really is, the American people, and I would say by extension, the governor's friend. If he could just acknowledge that in this particular case, just saying this generously, he could have been more forthright and moved on.
Yeah, and to Dan's point, it's really about a lack of transparency. We know that New York and a lot of these other cities were the first hit. They were largely working blindly. They were the ones that were still trying to deal with it and didn't fully understand the virus. So being transparent and making a mistake, people might be much more willing to forgive him. But trying to cover up, not answering questions, and just having a general lack of transparency caused a lot of bigger questions out there.
Dan, I was noting there was an editorial in today's New York Daily News that did fault the governor for clumsily handling this situation, but cautioned people who are, all over right now, some belatedly so, that this too shall pass, that the governor has taken political body blows in the past and survived it and gone on to, here he is in the middle of his third term, seems to be gunning for a fourth term, and that we shouldn't be singing his political death right now. What did you think of that?
Well, look, in politics, Neil, there is always so much uncertainty about what will happen in the future. And between now and when the next gubernatorial election is going to take place is a lifetime in politics. What I think is different here, though, Neil, is he has members of his own party, fellow Democrats, that are coming after him and coming after him hard. And I think that is very, very problematic when you have members of your party breaking ranks to come after the leader of the party in the state.
You know, Rebecca, is there any sense you have that this divides the Democratic Party beyond just the state of New York, or is this just a one-off? This is happening in New York, where there was this unique nursing home phenomenon that people, have been talking about, like our own Janice Steen, long before it got currency in the major media, and that it's not an indictment on the national Democratic Party, or is it?
I don't know if it's a national Democratic indictment, but I will say that there have been a lot of things that have happened in the last 18 months and specifically the last 12 months with the virus. And we, the American people, live in a free democracy republic. We have the right to ask our elected leaders what's going on and to hold them accountable. So it's just like Aaron said, if you made a mistake, just own it and move on. But the covering up or the not discussing, telling us it's something that we shouldn't discuss, that's when the American people are not stupid, and we are going to say, wait a minute, time out, we need some transparency and some accountability, and it's going to be against everybody, Republican and Democrat.
All right, guys, I want to thank you all very, very much. Our view here is if you're going to go after Donald Trump for coarse and threatening language, fair and balanced, you should go after others who use the same language, even if they're from another party. All right, we'll have a lot more after this, including